Welcome to BookWorthy. We are a month away from Christmas. And if you've been around BookWorthy, you know I love Christmas books. So today we're talking with Maria Antonia about her picture book, The Christmas Elephant, a Nativity Story. I can't wait to share this sweet book and this author with you. Welcome to BookWorthy, Maria.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure. Now, since we are technically in November and Christmas is on the way, what is your family tradition with your Christmas tree? When does your Christmas tree go up?
So our thing is always Advent. And when the first Sunday of Advent hits, that's when our Christmas tree goes up. I know some of members of our family, they put it up a little earlier and some put it up a little later, but ours is Advent.
I know it's hard not to get excited when we get close to Christmas and just be like, I just want to celebrate today.
Yes.
What is it? My mother has a December birthday, and growing up, we always waited to her birthday to put up the Christmas tree. And thankfully, it was the earlier part of December. Then one of my sons is on the 19th of December. And I was like, oh no, we can't do that. We can't wait till the 19th to put up the Christmas tree. So we try to wait till after we do his birthday party, which is usually the first weekend in December, because December birthdays are just tricky.
They are. Yes. I have nieces and nephews in December, and I had a best friend, or one of my good friends growing up. Her birthday was right after Christmas, and she said it was kind of cool in a sense because she got double presents, but then she got no presents during the year. So,
right, yeah. I have to celebrate a half birthday.
That's right.
Or something, right?
That's right.
Well, Maria, tell us a little bit about your book, The Christmas Elephant.
So The Christmas Elephant is about two sisters putting on a Christmas play with their, I think we decided it's a school that's putting on this Christmas play. And the older sister is the director, and the younger sister is supposed to be a little lamb. And she can't be a lamb. She has to be an elephant. She wants to be the Christmas elephant. And her older sister's like, no, you can't, because there are no elephants in Bethlehem. And the older sister this is historical. This is a historical event that we're talking about. And the younger sister, she can't. And so there's a lot of where she tries to sneak into the play, and the older sister always catches her. And then tragedy strikes when the baby Jesus doll goes missing, and the little elephant, Ellie, my little elephant, she remembers. So to save the Christmas play, she is going to find baby Jesus. So.
Super fun. Now, do you have any siblings?
I do. I am the middle child of 5, so I'm right in the middle. Oh my goodness! Yeah.
So you got to see a lot of sibling dynamics in all of that. And
I'm an older sister, so I'm the oldest daughter. So I was
wondering if you related more with the older sister or the younger sister.
I am. Definitely Piper, like all the way. I would have said something like, there are no elephants in Bethlehem.
Too funny. Now, did you perform in any nativity plays when you were a kid?
So I probably the first thing I got to be, I got to be the shepherd and the sheep, and the biggest one was I got to be Gabriel in one, and we were doing it from the Bible. So I had to memorize. I was older. I was like in grade. I was in 8th grade, and I had to memorize all the speeches, every single, from the speech she gives to Zacharias and to Mary, and then I also did the angels, and I was in 8th grade, and I was also in French immersion at that time. So I had to do not half. I did 80% of my schooling was done in French in that year. So that was a bit of a challenge, and I had to memorize these. So I memorized it on the bus, and my family was like, "Oh, don't worry. The people we'll put it on big poster board. We'll write out all your speech. So if you lose your space, you just go watch. You just read. And I did that, except, I mean, I had it memorized, but there was one, I don't know which one it was. I was probably the Zacharias one. And I was halfway through it. I couldn't read that poster board. It was afterwards I realized at that point I didn't have glasses. Nobody knew I needed glasses. So that poster board was no good at all. And I fumbled through. No. And for someone like me who's a perfectionist, that's hard. But it also, I think it's a good thing where I learned that, you know what? It's not the end of the world. Nobody actually even commented after the show was done to me because, of course, they were glad they didn't have to memorize all those lines.
Very true. So, you have to pick your parts wisely.
That's right. I didn't even pick it. I was handed this role. So, but yes, it was, let's just say I later on, I mean, in high school, I did chorus parts, but I later on went on to being a stage manager. Like, I much prefer being backstage. So I've done, like shows in Toronto, Canada, in, sort of off Broadway in New York City. I've done shows in Detroit, and my zone is behind the stage. And that is one thing actually I really love about the illustrator Laura Zarin. What she did was because a lot of it takes place backstage, she shows these behind the scenes views of the stage, which is my view of the stage. And I love when I first saw what she had done, I'm like, yeah, that is exactly what I was hoping for. And there's a few of those that my favorite ones are of the back of Mary and Joseph and everybody waiting to get on stage. So
yeah, it's a pretty neat perspective. So you definitely resonate with Piper a lot in this story. And I love that you do see a lot of the behind the scenes orchestration that happens because there is a lot going on behind the stage. I have a kiddo that's in theater, and I was helping with the sets for one of their productions when he was in 8th grade. And it was just wild that we had to think about how things moved, when things moved, which direction things went. And it was wild.
That's right. And it's like sometimes there are quick costume changes and you have to be ready for that. And, as a stage manager, I've done where I'm like roaming the floor. And I've also done where I'm in headphones and I'm calling the show and I'm like giving the light cues I actually preferred to be walking around the light cue and you kind of sit there and you're strapped.
Flip on the switch. Flip off.
Well, you basically just call you. So you're just saying cue 65, go. Mm. And then whoever's in the light booth, they do their cue 65. That I will say that in some of the bigger theaters, I had to do that. I didn't like that as much, but it was doing quick costume changes was always kind of fun. In that, could we get it done? We have 5 seconds to switch off this and put this on. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's never an easy transition. It's always like an extreme, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
My goodness. Well, what do you hope to communicate with your kiddos with this book, Maria?
Yeah, so I think it's the perfectionist. I mean, there's that that things aren't always going to be perfect, that there can be joy found in things that we didn't really plan for. That's the Piper side of people. For the Ellie side is that, it is good to be, God made us all unique. He made us special in the way that we are. And I'm hoping that for her, I mean, it isn't so much like she saw it as that God made her, Ellie, the elephant. And actually, I mean, she is based on a niece of mine who always did wear an elephant suit. And we have this story. We've asked her, are you always going to be an elephant? She's like 4 years old, and she's a very serious little girl. She is grown up now. She's now in high school. But we asked her this, and she was very serious. She'd go, I will never not be an elephant. And, she has, outgrown that elephant costume. She actually had a full, she had a couple different elephant costumes. She had just like a mask, like a Halloween mask with a little trunk. And then she had this full, like from head to toe, trunk coming off. Yeah, it was the cutest thing. And, obviously she's outgrown that. And I asked her, because I was getting ready for all this, this podcast and just getting everything ready for my website. And I asked her, does she remember that? And I said, well, do you have anything like your elephant? And she looked at me and she goes, she's like 17 years old now. She's like, Aunt Maria, every test that I do in high school, I draw a little elephant. Like it is still part of who she is. And so I think I've also likened in the back of the book, I've likened the story to a Mary Martha story, where Piper is the older sister Martha, and Ellie is the younger sister, and it kind of came out of the fact, like, what if Mary and Martha had a Christmas play about the birth of Jesus? How would it have gone down? And I'm thinking, Martha would have been telling Mary, there are no elephants in Bethlehem. And I think Jesus would have come and said, you know what, Martha, it's okay. If young Mary wants to be an elephant, God made elephants, and we can accommodate that. So
an elephant can't ruin the Christmas story.
That's right. That's right.
What is it? We, at a church we went to when we used to live in Houston, they did a big Christmas production where they'd had live animals on the stage.
Oh, wow.
And there was always this one camel that was the most ornery camel. And they just kind of had to work that orneriness into the storyline because he would always cause trouble on the stage.
So apparently camels spit.
Oh, yeah.
So
yes. And it's not spit. It's not like, it's gross. We did traveling with my family, we went and did a llama excursion. So we went hiking with some llamas, and it was just lots of fun. But yeah, when those llamas started to spit, we're like, oh, that's not pretty. Yeah, and the keeper told us a little bit more about how that happens. We're like, oh. Okay. Don't want to know.
That's, yeah. I can't, I've never done a show. I don't think I've ever done a show with live animals, which,
There's
what?
wisdom there.
Yes. Yeah. They're not easy to work. They can't, I mean, I guess you could maybe have a trained animal, but even the trained animals sometimes go a little wonky.
Everybody has a good day and a bad day. So when the bad day shows up on show day, you just got to work with it, right?
Yeah. Which is why we always have dress up as sheep. And the camels, and actually there are camels in my story, and I know my editor was like, I don't think those humps are big enough on the kids. So we went to my illustrator and we said, can we make them a little more hump-like? And she did, because she's that good.
Those illustrators are definitely amazing. Yes. Now, Maria, when did your writing journey begin?
So I guess, as a kid, I wrote. I do have a memory of my mom writing cursive and me not being able to read it. But I would write it, and I would write what I now know as E's. I would show off to my sister. I'm like, yes, I'm writing cursive. Then, so I was always drawn to storytelling, to books. I was part of like a young author program when I was in high school. I don't remember much about that other than I took a class on calligraphy. I don't remember what the other class was about because we had two, but I remember but I got to keep the calligraphy pen. Maybe that's why. And again, yeah.
Something sentimental.
Yes. But when I seriously began writing for kids, because, when you get to be high school and university age, like you just don't write. You don't read kid books anymore because you were too old. Although I did take a children's literature course in university. And I'm not sure why I did that, but I did. And I realized I actually like these stories. And I was introduced to new stories too. I like these stories better than some of the other literature that I studied. But then I didn't have time to do a lot of writing. I tried. I think I entered like a short story competition that didn't go anywhere. I'm like, I'm not paying money for that anymore. But then I had, like I said, there are 5 children in my family. So I've 3 brothers and a sister, and they started to have kids. I have 13 nieces and nephews, and that's a lot of birthdays. Yeah. And so what I thought, I can't afford gifts for all these nieces and nephews. So I started to write them stories, and that happened about 2008 when I started. Now they were born, like the first ones were born in 2000, 2001. So they were a little bit older when they first got their first stories. And then I started writing stories and sending them out for their birthdays. And, I kept looking, a lot of them were based on, so some of them were based on like Bible stories. Some of them were based on, I love fractured fairy tales. So I would mash up Cinderella with Sleeping Beauty and put a little Rapunzel in it. And then sometimes for one of the boys, I rewrote Sleeping Beauty, but the twist at the end was that Sleeping Beauty was like a dog. It was a beautiful dog. Like, because it was for one of the boys. I didn't think he would appreciate Sleeping Beauty, but like I thought he would probably like a dog. So so I did that. And, then in about, I would say 2016, 2017, I thought, well, maybe I could get these published. So I sent out my first manuscript. I reworked it. So when I wrote my birthday stories, they're like 12,000 words, 14,000 words. I didn't know any better. And I started to, I actually picked one of the shorter ones to send in to a publisher that took unsolicited manuscripts. And I heard nothing. So I thought, well, okay, maybe I found Facebook. There was a Facebook Kidlit group. I went in there, and there was critique. You could ask for critiques, and that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, is to put myself out there. No one has ever read my work other than my family and the contests that never contacted me, and this unsolicited people that never contacted me either. So I, don't know anything about them, but this was really hard to actually ask for someone to say, what do you think? And I took that same story that I had sent in, which was actually kind of maybe 700 or maybe 800 words. It's still a little bit too long. And I asked for their critique, and there were 4 ladies that said they would critique. I critiqued their stuff. They critiqued my stuff. I am actually still critique partners with one of them. The other one I was for a while, but then she had to take a break from writing. But yeah, so I still am in contact with some of them. And when I realized it wasn't as scary as, like, they didn't rip it apart. They were very, very nice. And so then I whittled my word count down. I started learning. I started going online, finding anything and everything I could about how to write for kids. And I wrote this book, The Christmas Elephant. Originally, it was titled No Elephants in Bethlehem. And my publisher decided to change the name to The Christmas Elephant, which I like both. I like both titles, but this works. And so that the first time I sent that out to agents, and it was actually the manuscript that I sent to my now agent in had to be 2019 that I did this. And I signed with her in 2020, and then as soon as I signed with her, the world shut down. And
It sure did.
Yes, it did. But we still went out. I went out in fall of 2020 with this manuscript. And everyone came back and said, they love the story, but we already have a Christmas book. Love the story? No, we have something too similar. And so I wrote other manuscripts, and those went out, and I wrote a second one, which is actually I got a 2-book deal. So this is the second one. It actually was the one that went out to my publisher first. And it's The Runaway Sheep. And they were very interested. And my agent said, oh, well, because we had shelved The Christmas Elephant. It went out in 2020. This is 2023. 3 years of that's it. And my agent said, well, Maria has a Christmas book. Would you be interested in this Christmas book? And they said, oh, send it along. So all of a sudden, what I thought was done, this was it. It had been to every publisher that we could think of. And, so they came back and they said, we actually want to publish this one first. And we want to publish it a year from now. Normally you
That's
wait.
a fast turnaround.
It was a huge, we had to get an illustrator right away. I think we had an illustrator by, so this was October of 2020, so a year ago. And we got our illustrator by November. And she, I think, had to get all the sketches in by January.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, she had a fast turnaround. And then I had to, all of a sudden, so I'm at work I had to have been February. And my editor's like, we need to get this out yesterday. Can you please okay all this? So I was able to do some of it at work, because I have a desk job, so I'm able to just quick look at this. And then I said, well, I can't fully look at it till I get home. And then I was able to, we were able to get it done. But she had to call me at home, and we had to get it out there, because it was very quick. Again, because they wanted to make this Christmas deadline, which makes sense.
It's interesting, just the timelines of how publishing works, and that, Christmas books have to basically be ready, 9 months before Christmas, and they get released 2 months before Christmas.
That's
so
right.
It's a very interesting timeline for sure. But what's one of your favorite books, Maria?
So, I mean, if we're talking non-picture book, I will say it's a toss-up between Anne of Green Gables and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or the Chronicles of Narnia. I kind of lump them all together. So those are probably my favorite books. If you want a picture book, I just read a really good one that I really liked called Braver Than Brave by Janet Sumner Johnson. And it's about a girl who is supposed to go on a roller coaster, the coaster of doom. She's scared. And I had a very similar experience when I was 5 years old on something called the Ghoster Coaster. I actually went on the Ghoster Coaster. And I went with my mom, and I was 5 years old. So this is like a kid's roller coaster, but I'm not talking, this is not a little kid's roller coaster. This is like I've been on it since. We were just at the same park, and yeah, I mean it's a big roller coaster for a kid, for 5 years old. Anyhow, my mom didn't tell me that I could close my eyes, so I went the entire ride with my eyes open. It scarred me.
What is it? Oh, go ahead.
I did not touch a roller coaster till I was in high school, and then it was peer pressure that got me back on a roller coaster.
What was it? As a family, we went on a vacation and decided to go on a roller coaster. Well, it was called the Electric Eel, and apparently it had like the biggest drop. Like it's like 1,000-foot drop.
Oof.
And my youngest was 7 at the time, and he rode with me. But it was only one of those one bars that come down rather than individual bars. So I'm a little bigger than my 7-year-old. And so he had a little more gap than I did.
So he like,
and he was like
airborne.
Airborne, and he's like grabbing onto the bar with all of his life. I'm gonna die. And I think I never laughed harder on a roller coaster than that one. I know my mama's skills are poor there, but it was, golly, I feel so bad for him, but it was perfect for me. I think we all have to have that roller coaster story somewhere in our life, right?
That's right.
Well, Maria, what can we expect next from you?
Well, I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but the Runaway Sheep is my next picture book, and it's coming out in the spring of 2025. So this was a two book deal with Paraclete Press, and they're doing Christmas first, and then I get a little lost sheep, which is based on the parable of the lost sheep.
I was going to ask if it was related to that, so I look forward to hearing more about that.
Yeah, and the Christmas elephant they're humans. There are humans in the Runaway Sheep, but it's a real sheep. Like the humans are the shepherds. So, yeah,
a totally different perspective.
Yes.
Very neat, Maria. Where can people find out more about you and your books?
So, probably the best place is my website, which is Maria Antonia Writes, the WRITES.com. And there are 2 A's. Maria and Antonia both have an A in it. So it's MariaAntoniaWrites.com. And there they can sign up for my newsletter. All my social media links are there. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or X, however you like to say it. So that's with my newsletter. I send it out about twice, every other month, and I always have something a little extra to download. So it's for kids. So it's really for kids. I would say like preschool, and probably you can go up to even age 12 and get something out of the different activities that I do. So some of them now we're getting ready for the Christmas elephant, so I'll be getting a lot of activities ready for that.
So fun. I got to poke around on your website a little bit, and definitely looks like you have lots of fun printables that really engage kids in their curiosity and their interest. So I'm sure kids will find fun things with the Christmas elephant too.
And I was a teacher. I did teach about 20 years ago. So this is my teacherness comes out with these.
Very neat. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Maria.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a good interview. I enjoyed it.
So glad. And thank you for joining Maria and me on this episode of the BookWorthy podcast. Check the show notes for any books or links that we discussed, and let us know in the comments, when does your Christmas tree go up? This wraps up the season 4 of BookWorthy podcast. We'll be back with new episodes in the new year. Be sure to like and subscribe to discover more great books together. Merry Christmas and happy reading.